Hi, my name is Amanda, and I work for the University of Georgia's Savannah River Ecology Lab. At our lab, scientists study a wide variety of things, everything from the smallest particle of soil to wind and water, even reptiles and amphibians. Some of our scientists actually study insects as well, and today we're going to talk about some insects. Before we actually go out and look at insects, we need to review some of the characteristics of an insect. So what makes it an insect? First of all, they are invertebrates. That means they do not have a backbone like we do. So no spine. They don't have bones at all like we do. They have what is called an exoskeleton. So an external skeleton, it's on the outside of their body. It's a hard protective skin, sort of. Now they can actually outgrow this, and when they do, this is a process called molting, so they'll emerge from that skin, and you may have seen that happen with cicadas or dragonflies. There's a wide variety of species that do this, but we'll take a look at a few later on. Another characteristic to remember would be that they have three body parts. They have a head, they have a thorax, which is kind of like our chest, and they have an abdomen like our belly. They have two antennae, and they have a total of 6 legs. Most insects walk, but some of them can fly and jump. Some of them can even swim. There are over 900,000 different species of insects in the whole world, and there's still more being discovered regularly. That means that you could go out exploring and discover an insect someday. In the United States alone, there are roughly 73,000 different species of insects. How exciting is that? So many insects for us to go find. Before we go out and see the real insects, I have some rubber insects for us to look at. Just to review body parts one more time. So we have here a grasshopper. You can see that it has a head, a thorax, and if we look under the wing here, it has an abdomen. It has a total of 6 legs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It has the 2 antennae, the special eye, and the nice wings here. So this guy can fly, but we notice these strong back legs. This grasshopper is also an excellent jumper. So if we wanted to go find a grasshopper in the wild, where would we go find it? We would actually look just about anywhere. These guys can be found in the forest, they can be found in fields, around our gardens. Why can we find them anywhere? Well, that's because they can eat just about anything. These guys love to eat vegetation. That means they eat leaves, they eat shrubs, some even eat bark and seeds. Now, these guys, grasshoppers, are considered a pest in the agricultural field because they will devour a garden, like just eat all the leaves, fruits and vegetables. They just eat it all. And what's really neat about grasshoppers is they can eat all day long, and they eat through most of the night. They only sleep for a little bit. But if we were to get rid of all the grasshoppers, what would happen to our ecosystem? Well, then birds might not have enough food to eat. So while it's bad for our gardens, it's actually really good for our environment. It balances everything out and allows for other critters to have something to eat, so they can eat the grasshoppers. Another insect that we can look at, and we might be able to find one outside, would be a ladybug. So this is a type of beetle. There are actually over 700 different types of what they call ladybirds, or same thing as a ladybug. Now, most of the ladybugs that we find here are not our native ladybug. We only have one that is actually originally from our area. The rest have all been brought in. And now, why would people bring bugs to our home or our state? Well, they bring them in the hopes that they'll help control other insects. So ladybugs, they actually eat other bugs. They eat what is called an aphid. It's a very tiny little green or brown insect, and that little insect will suck on the juices inside a plant, and they can do a lot of damage, kind of like our grasshopper can. And so people like to have ladybugs around because these guys, they will eat those little bad bugs. The ladybug, though, actually has 4 wings. Underneath the hard shell that's like a beetle is another pair of soft wings. Now, it keeps its red color. Some of them you might see kind of an orangish color and a different number of spots, but they do that to ward off predators. So to ward off the other animals that might want to eat them. They're saying, hey, I might be toxic and you don't want to eat me. So another insect that we can review real quick would be an ant. So let's look at the body part one more time here. So we have the head, we have the thorax, which is this part in the middle, and then we have the abdomen. We have 6 legs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have the 2 antennae, we have the eye. But what's really neat about ants is a lot of them have these really strong mandibles. Can you see that up there? Yeah. These really strong jaws, right? So that they can pick up the food and carry it back to what they call a colony. So it's a group of ants. They all live together. Now, some insects live by themselves, like grasshoppers, for example. They live alone. They lay their eggs in the ground and then they just leave, and the egg develops and emerges and a small grasshopper is born. Eventually it molts its skin and it keeps getting larger and larger until it's a full-grown adult. Ladybugs are another one that are solitary. You see them with other ladybugs, but they don't live in colonies. Now, ants are really neat. They live in what is called a colony, kind of like a family. Everybody in that colony has a job, whether it be the queen, who lays all of the eggs. Once the queen establishes her colony, she never leaves the nest again. She stays underground with just continually laying eggs. Her worker ants, they bring her food, they clean her, everything. They even take care of the eggs, the babies that she's laying. And when those eggs hatch and develop, they grow up to take care of the queen as well. Some queens live up to 30 plus years. So ants like to eat nectar. Some ants like to eat meat. There's ants that like to eat seeds. Some even like to eat fungus. But all ants like a sugary, sweet substance. All ants also need water to survive. So a lot of time ants are considered pests, but they actually play a very important role in our ecosystem. They help clean up a lot of dead bugs and critters, and they help keep the environment clean. They also aerate the soil. So when they're digging those colonies, those big nests underground or in the trees, things like that, they're allowing for water and air and minerals to get into those areas and kind of recycle things and freshen things up. So ants are actually very important to us. We do have several invasive species of ants that live in our area, but they do still play an important role. It's always important to remember that if you see a bunch of ants, you need to leave them alone. Ants can in some cases bite, some cases sting. We even have a species of ant that shoots formic acid. So ants are quite an interesting species, and if you want to learn more, there's a lot of information in the library to look up. So the next insect we're actually going to talk about is the dragonfly. Dragonflies come in a wide variety of sizes and colors, but what's most amazing is these guys are excellent flyers. You don't really see them walking, but these guys, they can fly, and they can fly fast. They actually catch all their food while they're flying, which I find very impressive. So what does a dragonfly eat then? Well, they like to eat flies, they'll eat small bees, but most of all, they eat mosquitoes. Nobody likes to be bitten by mosquitoes, so having dragonflies around eating mosquitoes is a good thing. The dragonflies actually begin their life in the water, so they can live up to 2 years in the water. Underwater, they'll eat other small insects. Some of them even eat small fish, a wide variety of things, worms, different things like that. And then they just keep growing. And when it becomes time for them to molt or shed that exoskeleton that we talked about earlier, they will crawl up on a branch and hang and slowly dry. And as they dry, that exoskeleton splits and the dragonfly can come out of the exoskeleton and emerge. So the last insect that we're going to briefly talk about are bees and wasps. Most of you know about the honeybee. Honeybees are actually not originally from here. They were brought over because they're excellent pollinators and they make honey, and everybody loves honey. Now, what's really neat about the honeybee is their sense of smell. And they actually use their antenna to help them smell. These guys can smell their nest or their colony where they live. And then they can smell the different flowers, and they can go several miles from where they live. And the way they get home is by smell. Also, when they want to communicate or talk to the other bees in their colony, they dance. They do a wiggle dance, which I think is pretty neat. Now, there are other bees other than the honeybee that make colonies. For example, our bumblebee. The bumblebee actually makes colonies underground. The queen bumblebee, she will find the perfect spot, and then she will slowly begin building a colony. Now, she only lives to be about a year old, and towards the end of the year, she will lay another queen, and it will grow and then emerge next year and start the cycle back over. Now, bumblebees are also very important. They're originally from here. They're native to our area, and they are also excellent pollinators. They pollinate a lot of flowers, and so while bees are kind of scary, they're really good to have around. Also, bees aren't going to sting us for no reason. They usually are just interested. They're trying to smell us. We might smell familiar or we might smell good. But if we just stand still and remain calm, usually the bees are going to fly away. Now, wasps usually live in families as well. You might see a wasp nest, or you have yellow jackets, which actually live underground. And then there's types of wasps that are called ground wasps that live by themselves. They're solitary, and you might see them flying low to the ground sometimes at certain times of the year. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take you out to my backyard or the woods behind my house, and we're going to look for some insects, and we're going to see what we can find back there and learn about today. So come on with me. Hey, check this out, everyone. As I was walking out of my house to go find some insects, I spotted this red paper wasp collecting wood fibers from the handrail on my stairs. Do you see that little ball in its mouth? Those are the wood fibers. She takes them back to her nest and slowly mixes them with her saliva and begins placing them on the nest. She spreads the fiber and saliva mix out with her mandibles or mouth parts and makes them very thin like paper. Later, she lays an egg in each cell or cavity. Notice this wasp did not attack me. I observed her from a distance. Wasps are good at pollinating plants and eating pest insects, so I like to keep her around. We can even find insects under logs. This is a click beetle larva. They actually help break down rotten wood and things like that. I even found an adult, and it looks nothing like its larval form. Here's an eastern-eyed click beetle. Did you just hear that click? That is a form of defense. He hopes that by clicking, I might be scared off and not eat him, or that I'll drop him and he'll escape. Whoops, there he goes. Here's another beetle that breaks down organic matter like rotten wood and leaves. These are best beetles. Here we see an adult, the black beetle, and several larvae, the white grubs. These beetles prefer hardwood trees like oaks and maples. What makes these beetles really neat is that they live in families, and they will guard their log home from other beetles that are not relatives. Best beetles can even talk to each other by squeaking. Oh, look! Here is a honeybee eating some nectar from a dandelion and is transferring pollen at the same time. Just look at how she sticks her proboscis down into the flower to reach that nectar. Honeybees are very important pollinators. Did you know that 1/3 of the food we eat is because bees pollinate it? Look at these ants hard at work. It looks like they have found the pollen jackpot and are collecting lots of it and taking it back to the nest to feed the other worker ants. Remember, I said all ants need to eat a sugary sweet substance. In this case, that sweet substance is the nectar in the flower. Someone is very hungry. This rosy maple moth caterpillar doesn't even seem to mind me looking at it. It just keeps on eating. The truth is, this caterpillar only has one goal right now, and that is to eat as much as it can before it has to pupate or change form. Once it becomes a beautiful pink and yellow moth, it won't eat. That's right, the adults don't eat at all. So I'll just leave these ones alone and let them keep chowing down on some leaves. Now let's compare a damselfly on the left and a dragonfly on the right. Notice the position of the wings on both of them. The damselfly has its wings back in an upright position, while the dragonfly has its wings laid flat. We can also see the body of the damselfly is a lot skinnier than that of the dragonfly. Now let's watch them take off in slow motion. Alright, I hope you guys had as much fun out there looking at those insects as I did. A couple last things to remember though. I want to review the body parts of an insect, or the characteristics of an insect. So insects are what you call invertebrates. That means they don't have a spine. They have an exoskeleton that they molt. They have 3 body parts, and they have a total of 6 legs. They also have 2 antennae. Now, one quick question. Are spiders insects? Now spiders, they don't have a backbone, and they molt or shed their skin, so they are invertebrates. But spiders have 8 legs, not 6 legs. And spiders don't have antennas, and they only have 2 body parts instead of 3. So the answer is no. Spiders are actually not insects. They're actually called arachnids. So they are invertebrates, but they're called arachnids. One last thing. Remember to never pick up an insect that you don't know. Some insects sting, some insects bite. We need to practice safety first. Insects are not here to hurt us. They are here to do their job and to live life as usual. And it's our part to help protect them so that they can help keep our environment healthy and clean. If you're interested in learning more about insects, or you find an insect that you have never seen before and you want to learn more about it, you can ask an adult to help you, maybe take a picture of it, and take that picture with you to the library. The library is full of books about insects. Everything from caterpillars and butterflies and beetles. There's just a wide variety of things, even ants. And you can learn about the insect itself, learn where it's from, what it eats, just a wide variety of things. I mean, I could get lost in a library. So I hope you have fun today, and I wish you all the best and happy insect hunting.